happening, gang? It's your boy Retro back again with another reaction video. Yeah. Today we got another huge update. You guys can probably already tell that it is going down. Just by that title alone, you guys are definitely going to want to check this one out. So we got that former White House press secretary Karine Jean-Pierre, aka Karine Jean-Pierre, faced some serious backlash in this one after attempting to backstab Joe Biden by exposing him in her newest book, guys. And I'm excited to get to this one, so we're not straight into it. All I ask that you guys please hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and without further ado, let's hop straight into it, folks. Check this one out.
Personally, I think what was the toughest thing to see in the 3 weeks was there was a disconnect for me. What was happening with leadership in the Democratic Party and how it was truly, as my former colleague, communications director Ben LeBolt said, it was a firing squad, and I had never seen anything like it before. I'd never seen a party do that in the way that they did, and it was hurtful and sad to see that happening. A firing squad around a person who I believe was a true patriot, a person who I believe did everything that he can for this country, a person who I believe, as I mentioned before, has done more in one term than most presidents had done in 2 terms, historical things. And I was shocked by what I was seeing.
And Karine, just to clarify, these are other Democrats and Democratic leadership coming out against Biden.
Yep, I had never seen anything like that. That was, if you're asking me, the thing that I saw in those 3 weeks, that was shocking. Shocking. And instead of coming together to really be unified and trying to figure out how do we save our democracy, how do we fight back, that's what I was seeing. And, you know, that's what we decided to do for 3 weeks. And, you know, it was truly, truly unfortunate. And I think it hurt us more than I think folks realized to have done that.
And I know we're coming, and thank you so much for your question.
Thank you so much for your question.
Okay, you all, so now we have a new scoop. Karine Jean-Pierre, former White House press secretary, is taking it upon herself to write a book about how she's becoming an independent now, and she's not in support of the Democratic Party because of the way they responded to Joe Biden's mental decline. I don't think she has the right, or she's in the space to be able to be the person that does this, though. Did she not actively participate in the cover-up and actually scolded folks, not even just the reporters inside of that White House press briefing room, but also Americans? She scolded us for even trying to point out the fact that Joe Biden was slipping, that we were seeing some type of cognitive decline. But yet now she's coming out, taking it upon herself to write a book about how Joe Biden slipped. I don't think she has room to talk.
I am Karine Jean-Pierre, and I am the author of a new book that's coming out this fall called Independent. It's coming out on October 21st, so please do grab it. And the reason I wrote this book, coming out of the White House, you know, serving as White House press secretary was an honor and a privilege. But since I have left, the people that come up to me, strangers that come up to me just across the country as I'm traveling, and sometimes right in my neighborhood, at a grocery store, supermarket, airport, my daughter's school, the number one question they ask me is, Karine, how do we get out of this? How do we protect our democracy? How do we protect vulnerable communities among us? What do we do next? Because we don't have answers here. That's what they ask me. And this is my answer. And what I mean by that is, in an era of misinformation, disinformation, the regressiveness of social policy, what we're seeing currently right now, what I have decided to do, and I really have thought long and hard about this, is to follow my own compass. And that's what I've done. And that's what this book does. And here's the truth. And here's how I will lay it out to you. I think we need to stop thinking in boxes and think outside of our boxes and not be so partisan. And the way that I see moving forward in this space that we're in right now is, if you are willing to stand side by side with me, regardless of your how you identify politically, and as long as you respect the community that I belong to and vulnerable communities that I respect, I will be there with you. I will move forward with you. And that is, I think, so important. So this book, Independent, it's about looking outside of boxes, not just always being in a partisan stance. And how do we move forward together in a compassionate way, in a way that really, truly cares about people? October 21st.
You all, and the irony of this all, they cannot keep getting away with this. This was Karine Jean-Pierre's job. This is what she did. She was one of the main cover-up roles in the Biden administration, making sure that the press and the American people were as confused and disoriented when it came to Biden's mental capabilities. This would be like, putting this very simply, this would be like your mechanic going in and busting up your car and then telling you that you have all these problems that they can fix for you. I mean, like, what? Pay me more money and then I'll fix the problems for you that I created. You cannot be serious. This is disgusting behavior.
Does the president have the stamina, physically and mentally, do you think, to continue on even after 2024?
Don, you're asking me this question. Oh my gosh, he's the president of the United States. You know, I can't even keep up with him. We just got back from New Mexico. We just got back from California. That is not a question that we should be even asking.
You said, Jackie, are you here? Where's Jackie? She must not be here.
No, I totally understand. I just explained she was on top of mind.
The book is suggesting the president tells aides he's tired.
But that's in the excerpt, right?
Yeah, and that's why there have been so few public events before 10 a.m.
I mean, that's a ridiculous assumption to make.
President Biden is the oldest president in U.S. history. Why does White House staff treat him like a baby?
No one treats the president of the United States, the commander-in-chief, like a baby.
So there's this book that says
that's ridiculous.
When staff
it's a ridiculous
back,
claim. I would put the president's stamina, president's wisdom, ability to get this done on behalf of the American people against anyone.
How is President Biden ever going to convince the 3/4 of voters who are worried about his physical and mental health that he is okay, even though in Las Vegas he told a story about recently talking to a French president who died in 1996?
I'm not even going to go down that rabbit hole with you, sir.
Comments were made in that report about that, obviously about his memory that we don't believe lives in reality. I think you all have called this the cheap fakes video, and that's exactly what they are. They are cheap fakes video. They are done in bad faith, and some of your news organization have been very clear, have stressed that these the right wing critics of the president have a credibility problem.
I think there is so much misinformation, disinformation, as we've been talking about. You talked about the video of the president wandering, and it's not true, right? The president wasn't wandering. And so we believe we have to call that out. We've been calling it cheap fakes. That is something that came directly from the media outlets.
Is anyone in the White House hiding information about the president's health or his ability to do the job day to day?
Absolutely not. What we have released has been very comprehensive. It has been. It has been transparent. With age comes wisdom and comes experience. And I think that matters as well.
Sharp as ever.
He is as sharp as ever, as I have known him to be in my engagement and my experience with him. And I know when I walk into the Oval Office or see him on Air Force One, I have to be on top of my game.
Okay, you all, so that was the active cover-up job from Karine Jean-Pierre behind that podium on mainstream media outlets. I just wanted to give a little refresher and jog folks' memories for folks who may have forgotten what Karine Jean-Pierre truly done. It was heinous. It was disgusting behavior. I mean, the manipulation, the gaslighting tactics, it was so strange, especially when folks could see straight through it. Now she's being called out by tons of folk, not only on the right, but on the left as well. You know, we got our man Scott Jennings, CNN host, absolutely destroying her, roasting her filth. Let's check it out.
I have a different view. I'd like to congratulate Democrats for ridding yourselves of this untalented mediocrity. I mean, this is the most self-aggrandizing liar that has ever held this job. The White House press secretary is a sacred position, and she stood up there for years and lied through her teeth to the American people. She is the literal worst White House press secretary in my lifetime. And what she did in the last year and a half of the Biden administration, cheap fakes, the entire cover-up around the president's mental faculties, she was in the center of it. So congratulations for getting rid of this, but Democrats deserve everything they're getting here for for putting her in that job in the first place.
And then we have folks on X speaking out outraged about her new book announcement. This is Natalie here saying, I can stomach Jake Tapper writing a book, but I cannot stomach Karine Jean-Pierre writing one when she actively indirectly lied until the bitter end. Where the press corps merely looked the other way and allowed it to happen, she actively facilitated the cover-up. She stood up there and denigrated Pete Ducey and other people on a daily basis for questioning Joe Biden's mental acuity. Give me a freaking break. You can't be serious with this lady. I mean, let's be honest. Karine Jean-Pierre, of all people, the irony of this, she was the one who was in the center of the cover-up, actively pushing it out there, trying to make sure that no one was the wiser of Joe Biden's mental conditions. You can't come out and now try to flip the hat and say, hey, I'm going to expose Joe Biden for what I see. No, you were covering it up. All right, then I have this political piece. Very briefly want to read to you guys. It says Karine Jean-Pierre's announcement that she's leaving the Democratic Party, timed with the rollout of a new book, has detonated long simmering grievances among her former White House colleagues about Jean-Pierre's pursuit of celebrity and personal media exposure while serving as then President Joe Biden's press secretary. Says the attention-grabbing ploy lit up Democratic and Biden alumni texting groups, reignited frustrations that burned for years about Jean-Pierre. According to 7 former Biden administration officials granted anonymity to describe private conversations, one former official recalled that Jean-Pierre had joked about becoming an independent even while on the job in the Biden White House, an off-key comment for someone ostensibly serving as a major messenger for the Democratic Party. Another former official said that Jean-Pierre had begun working during the Biden administration with a New York-based publicist and had copied that person on official emails before some of Jean-Pierre's White House colleagues intervened. Wow, so she was working on this book even while actively covering up Joe Biden's cognitive decline. You cannot make this stuff up. It says, quote unquote, everyone thinks this is a grift, the first former official said of Jean-Pierre's book project. As Biden's press secretary, Jean-Pierre's halting, ineffectual briefings exasperated reporters and routinely offered material for the Republican Party's main account on X. She frustrated colleagues throughout the West Wing for focusing on raising her own profile while leaving the hands-on management of the media relations and the White House press shop to other aides. While it's unclear how she will portray Biden or her time in the White House in the book titled Independent, A Look Inside a Broken White House Outside the Party Lines, several former colleagues expressed confusion at how Jean-Pierre seemingly intends to paint Biden as a victim while pinning her own decision to leave the party on his broken White House. The teasing of the book project by the Hatchet imprint stated that Jean-Pierre will offer her view of the 3 weeks of turmoil following Biden's miserable debate last summer that culminated with him dropping his re-election bid. A result, the book's promotional material blames in part on, quote, a betrayal by the Democratic Party. Jean-Pierre's former staffers offer withering criticisms of what they see as an opportunistic grift. Quote, she made a joke about being an independent last year and now it's a book. All the ideas are monetary, even the dumb ones, said the former White House staffers. Caitlin Legacki, a Democratic strategist who worked in the Commerce Department's communications shop during Biden's term, also took issue with the book's apparent premise. Kamala Harris and the entire Biden-Harris campaign did heroes work to avoid losing 400 electoral votes and giving Republicans a supermajority in Congress, which is what would have happened if he would have stayed on the ticket. It's more productive to focus on that and thank Biden for doing a responsible thing by stepping aside than it is to pretend that this was an unwarranted act of betrayal. Democrats should shift their focus to the effects of Republicans' big beautiful bill, which he said would have been even more drastic had Biden remained on the ticket and bolstered the GOP's number in Congress. Quote, people will literally die because of Republican Medicaid cuts. Kids will go hungry because of SNAP cuts. The only reason we stand a chance to reduce the harm inflicted is the Democratic Party did the right thing here. It's completely nuts to be more upset that the party didn't prioritize Joe Biden's ego and keep him on the ticket than to thank God we averted complete and total disaster. Well, I will say you guys kind of lost it. They dropped the ball when they let Joe Biden get to that point. Like, that's still a point that's sticking with me. These folks, they're saying that like, okay, we saved democracy by, getting him out the race, putting Kamala in there. We lost, but we didn't lose as bad. I feel like you guys could have done way better had you actually been upfront and honest with the American people and got a different candidate in there way sooner. I mean, Joe Biden's mental decline didn't happen right after that debate. It was way before that. We could see him slipping months, almost the years before that. And now we're saying that Joe Biden was the hero of this by stepping aside. Give me a freaking break. Get out of here. A New York-based publicist, Gilda Squire, worked informally with Jean-Pierre while she was in the White House and was on multiple occasions copied on official emails before staffers raised the issue. Squire previously served as publicity director for HarperCollins publisher and also did a PR for Penguin Putnam Publishing, and Jean-Pierre was the subject of several lengthy profiles in lifestyle publications including Vogue and Women's Health, and traveled to New York to appear on The View. At one point, staffers raised Jean-Pierre's frequent interactions from the White House with Squire to the White House counsel's office, as well as her frequent public appearances at Glass and other events she attended in a personal capacity. The Office of Legal Counsel did provide clear guidance on the requirements disclosing outside appearances and any gifts received at Jean-Pierre's staff, who conveyed the information to her, the two former officials said. According to one of the former officials and another former official, Jean-Pierre had been hoping for a post-White House job as a co-host on ABC's The View, aka the spew around here, following the template of her predecessor Jen Psaki, who departed the job after just more than a year for an anchor job at MSNBC, aka MSDNC. But no such opportunity materialized for Jean-Pierre, a factor 3 of her former colleagues surmised that likely led to the book. So you're telling me that they didn't even want her on the set of ABC's The View? That's got to be a record. That's a huge loss. I mean, anyone can get on that show. Neither Jean-Pierre nor Squire responded to a request for comment, while a number of former colleagues kept their comments private. Jeremy Edwards, who served in the press shop under Jean-Pierre, posted on X a response to her book project saying, LOL. Jean-Pierre wouldn't be the first press secretary in recent years to turn against her boss or former colleague. Stephanie Grissom, who served as press secretary during the Donald Trump first term, authored a 2021 book detailing her experience in the White House and how often Trump berated her. But whereas Grissom was never allowed to do a brief at the podium, Jean-Pierre was the public face of the administration for 2.5 years. One Democratic operative who worked with Jean-Pierre prior to her White House tenure called the sudden turnabout the most grifty thing I've seen in a long time, and that's saying something in Washington. She was the public face, telling us all that this White House was on track and that Biden was amazing. And now she doesn't even want to be a Democrat. One of the former Biden White House officials said she's making herself the middle ground here when Republicans hate her. She's not in any position to be a connector of our two-party system, and assuming she could be is just ego. Okay, you guys, so that was a huge roast on Miss Cringe Jean-Pierre. And honestly, guys, I'm just gonna be real with you. She's not the person. She's not who she thinks she is right now. It definitely speaks a lot to her ego to even believe that she'd be the person that could bring together this two-party system when she was the one lying to the American people every single day. Every single time she got on that podium, guess what she was doing? Lying and covering up for Joe Biden. That binder of hers, she never had any answers in it. I remember it very clearly. And times like this just makes me so thankful for who we have right now. Our White House press secretary, Karoline Leavitt, she's being upfront, honest. Transparency is at an all-time high when you compare it to the Biden administration and Cringe Jean-Pierre. We just have to be thankful for what we do have now. And I'm really hoping to see some repercussions, some accountability for her actions. Her role that she played within this cover-up, the DOJ maybe bringing her in, or Comer trying to get her to testify in front of Congress. Maybe a couple subpoenas will do the job, but she cannot get away with this. Now to be trying to pull out an active grift job and make money off of her cover-up, you cannot be serious, guys. Definitely hop in that comment section though. Let me know your thoughts. Comments are open. I'm excited to hear what you guys are thinking. Also, make sure you guys please hit that like button, hit that subscribe button if you'd enjoy more content like this. Catch you guys on the next one week.